Hey everybody, welcome back to Smith's Customs. You got Jacob here. Well, on our previous video, we finally got Black Max started. We know it runs now, so now we're going to start buttoning up everything underneath the hood, getting the intercooler piping, everything in place. Once I get everything in place, then I'm going to go ahead and start addressing some of the wiring that I don't like. I don't like the way it's run or the way it's put together, so we're going to change some of that around also. That being said, we're going to go ahead and get underneath the hood of this thing and, well, let's get cracking on it, see if we can get some of this together. I'll take my handy dandy little film crew here and pick them up and carry them over here. Yep, looks about the same as the last time I seen it. There you go. Just going to go ahead and put this down. I'm going to start by removing the intake horn off the turbo there, just so I can get that thing out of the way, give myself a little more clearance to work some of these wires and hoses and everything around without having to fight around this thing. I just put this on just when I was getting ready to fire it up, so it had something on there so the turbo blade wasn't wide open. Alright, that was simple enough. I hope the rest of it gets together that easy. Alright, so I got one of my turbo pipes here. We're going to go ahead and get this thing put in place. Got to snake it down through here on the driver's side. Hopefully it just falls right in place, which probably won't happen, but you can always be hopeful. Pretty close to falling right in place, but unfortunately we missed a step there, I think. Let's try one that in place. I don't really know if I care for the way these wires are going around it, but we'll see. Kind of excited to try to drive this thing to see what it does. There we go, got the bottom side slid in. Now we're going to go ahead and get this top side slid in. Oh, it's pretty difficult. Okay. Everything's lining up, sitting the way I want it to. Okay, I got my wires. My wires aren't rubbing anything here. Which we're going to address some of those anyways here in the very near future. We're just getting all the piping set in place, so that way when I do the wiring, I know the way I'm routing everything and I know the way everything's going. So that way when I loom it and get it all put together the way I want it, I know that I'm not putting it together and then having to cut it back apart and redo it. Okay, we have a bracket that those plugs go on. We'll grab that. This is our plug bracket right here. That's just the little pedestal that our plugs sit on here. Now granted, keep in mind I'm trying to remember along the way. It's been a couple days that this thing's been apart, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug these plugs just to give myself a little more clearance currently. There we go. Give us a little more room. Go ahead and set this little guy down in here. That's beautiful. Just what the doctor ordered. This bracket's actually bent a little bit. A lot of this stuff when I got this truck was already unbolted and sitting around and not bolted up correctly. I've found a lot of loose things along the way, stuff that's where it doesn't belong. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of re-maneuvering things and putting things the way I want them to be because, well, I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to things. I like everything to sit 100% correctly. I want it to be just like it was the day it was at the factory. So before we get that put in there, I got to run this one bolt down in here, which is for our coolant support there for the coolant tube. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a socket for that. Nope, won't grab the wrong size, of course. Alright, we're going to go ahead and run that bolt in. I'm going to try to line this other one up before I tighten it, so that way when I do get ready to tighten this thing, actually, use that one right there. Those are started. Well, one's tight and the other one's started. Now we're going to go ahead and take a bracket. Get the proper orientation on it again. Slide that guy down in there. We'll slide that intercooler pipe out of the way. Please don't mind the sniffles or the coughing. Currently, I'm not feeling the best. I'm a little under the weather. But we're just still kicking along. Life doesn't stop for being sick. There's that one. That guy there. one more on the side here. This last one. There we go, there's that one. Now we can put our plugs down. As you can see, they actually come out at two different lengths. So you got your shorter one, or your longer one, which goes on the bottom. And then your shorter one, which goes up top. Now, originally, there was no screws in these or anything. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put screws in these. I just went ahead and got me 2 Allens to retain these plug holders down properly. Because when I bought the truck, like I said, a lot of this stuff was unhooked, missing. It could be in the truck. There's boxes of parts and stuff inside the truck yet that I have yet to go through. Get both these guys fastened down. I'm pretty sure these next videos are going to be pretty boring. Maybe somebody will find them interesting. I highly doubt it, but you never know, I guess. This is just the average, everyday mechanic repair, taking stuff apart, putting it together. We're just trying to reassemble. Now that we got some life back in this thing, I can start putting this thing back together. I'm just clipping the plugs back in, putting the Christmas tree holder back where it belongs. That way my wires stay where they're supposed to be. Okay, there's that part. Now I gotta tighten up this front guy here. Okay, that's tight. Now that that's in place, we can go ahead and I'm gonna pick these wires up, slide these things back. And we're gonna go ahead and slide that AC compressor back up here and get that back sitting in place where it belongs. I'm gonna unplug my coolant temp sensor so that way I don't have to worry about any kind of damage to the wires or anything in the process. Because I want to route that and everything to where it's nice when I'm done. But I want to make sure I have everything in place. There's our AC compressor. We'll set that guy back in there. Take our 4 bolts for the AC compressor. Put them right in there. If you ever have to pull your AC compressor off, it's as simple as that. You're going to pull your belt and these 4 bolts and unhook your plugs, and that AC compressor is right off there. Not hard, very simple task. Well, that's just to remove it, not to actually take it off the truck. If you're gonna take it off the truck, that gets into a whole nother ball game. You'd have to have I recommend anybody doing that to have a Freon vac so you can vacuum the Freon out properly. And then when you're reassembling, you're gonna need to vacuum the system down and bring it down to a vacuum to get all the moisture out of it before you go ahead and start pumping Freon back into it. There's that guy. That's back in place. Kind of weird putting this thing back together. It's been apart for so long that, well, I forgot what it looked like together. Okay, I got all my wires routed how I want. Not 100% perfect, but we're getting there. It's gonna take time. Rome wasn't built in a night. Alright, so I think that's it on the driver's side. Oh, wait. No, we're going to go ahead and we'll tighten down these clamps. And then that'll be it on the driver's side. Currently. There's going to be lots more to do on the driver's side. I'm going to end up taking the driver's fender well out, going in, tightening up my injector harnesses a little bit, making everything all nice and neat, putting loom on it. But for right now, it's just kind of reassembling everything, getting a bearing on where everything's at, making sure everything's lining up the way we want it to. Kind of seeing if we can get this thing, maybe we'll take this thing out and see if it'll burn rubber when we're done. That'll be a good test for it. The rubber burning test is always the best. If you want to find a weak point, take it out and burn rubber with it. Okay, I'm going to tighten up the clamps. Now these are spring clamps. They go to my charge pipe for my intercooler there. That's actually the hot side of the intercooler. So let's go ahead, we're going to tighten these guys down. Never tighten them down all the way. That spring shouldn't be completely touching each other. Always leave space in between the spring coils. There's no reason you should have to crimp that thing all the way down unless you're building 80, 100 pounds of boost. Then you start running higher boost, you might have to upgrade your clamps and stuff, but for the factory boost, I think this thing will max at 20, 25 PSI. I'm not even sure. That spring clamp setup should work perfectly fine. Alright, now that'll be it on the driver's side, and I'll stop this video, see what time it is, and maybe we'll come back in with a video on the passenger side of putting the rest of the stuff together on the passenger side. And then hopefully within the next couple days, we'll see if this thing will actually start and move. We know it'll start now. I'm curious to see if it'll actually move. See if we got any oil leaks, anything like that. But I want to get coolant in it before I can let it run too long. So that's a big thing on my list right now, is getting this buttoned up and being able to get coolant in it and let it sit and run for a little bit. All right, with that being said, if you've been following along, I appreciate the support. Hey, please like, subscribe, share. If there's something you guys want to see, hey, let me know, comment it. Let me know, hey, I'd like to see a video of this, or I'd like to see a video of this, or just things that you can think of that you'd want to see a video of, let me know. And if it's able for me to be able to do it, hey, I'll do it. I'll do the best I can to help everybody out. And like I said, we're all learning together, so I'm trying to figure out technology and videos and figure out what I'm doing with all this, and hopefully you guys can learn something from me. With that being said, that's it on this video. Well, we'll catch you guys on the next one.